How are you doing, Ron?
Doing real well, Nick.
Excellent. You came down from Vermont just for this. That's great. All the way to Baltimore.
Yep.
So you recognize that bicycles were in short supply as a means of transportation for people where you lived?
Yeah, it started out with an email from a friend who was looking for one bike for a resettled Somali refugee. And I said, yeah, I've got that bike. And within a few days, Bike Recycle Vermont was started. I mean, it just wanted to happen.
Yeah. So you're getting bikes, you're refurbishing them, and you're making them available to people in need. And where are the bikes coming from predominantly?
Originally, they were a lot of them came from the police, abandoned bikes. And then the university provides bikes that the students abandon. Primarily, bike people do bike drives for us. Bicycle touring companies have donated bikes. And primarily, they come from individuals who've heard about the program.
Yeah. And these bikes come in all kinds of shape. They can be in pretty rough shape, or have one wheel or whatever. You fix them up.
Absolutely. If someone calls and says, "Do you want my bike?" I said, "If it was ever a bike, we want it." Or any part of that bike.
Oh, that's cool. And so, who gets them? Who gets these bicycles that you fix up?
Originally, it was almost all Somali resettled refugees. The first few hundred bikes, because there was a big influx. There's a really wonderful refugee resettlement program in Vermont. And we broadened that out fairly quickly to anyone who was really low income and needed a bike. Yeah. So that would include homeless people, people just out of prison, people who have perhaps been born in poverty and haven't figured out how to get out, or just found themselves in poverty because of the economy.
And just to be clear, you're talking about primarily around Burlington, Vermont.
Yes.
And that's a town that's got some bus service and some public transportation, but this is an alternate means of transportation for these folks?
Yes, the bus system, because Burlington is so small, it's not very robust. They don't have the ridership to justify running buses 24/7 or even anywhere close to that.
And so this is a really fundamental need. This enables someone to get to school or get to work or.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens if they break under the care? Once they have a bike and it breaks, what happens then?
Whether someone who qualifies for our program by their income got a bike from us or found it somewhere or inherited it, it doesn't matter. If they show up at our shop, we do very low cost repairs for them.
Wow.
So the fundamental mission has always been the same, which is to provide viable alternative transportation for low-income people. Yeah. People who wouldn't get served in a regular bike shop.
Yeah. But this is a huge effort. You just said, "Oh, sure, I'll do this thing. I got that bike," and then now there's this big project. So do you have a bunch of volunteers or staff, or you have some help, I assume?
Yep. I'm a volunteer, and everyone except for Mark and our AmeriCorps worker is our volunteers.
Yeah. And how much time does this take for you still?
At this point, 7 years into it, I probably put in about 60 hours a month, sometimes more.
And any idea how many bikes have been through the program since you started?
About 4,000.
4,000 bikes. Wow, that's amazing. That's wild. And I'm sure you hear stories, as you mentioned, of the translator, of how this makes a real difference in people's lives.
Yeah, it's, one of the really touching stories that comes to mind right now is a homeless man who literally lived 10 years outside in Burlington, never got sick once, oddly enough. And I met his daughter, who just graduated from the University of Vermont as a nurse.
Wow.
And she told me that just how much that bike meant to him. It was his only way of getting around for all those years. And he finally found a home through a low-income housing program.
Wow. Wow. So yeah, if you multiply, and as you point out, the families of the people who've been recipients of these bikes, this is something that's impacted the lives of lots and lots of people, many more than 4,000.
Yes.
And you're also keeping all this bike detritus out of the landfill, right? These little bike parts and old bike scrap stuff from going in the landfill.
We recycle pretty much everything, all the rubber, all the metal. I'm wearing some of it now. I've got this chain bracelet on and a spoke bracelet.
Oh, yeah.
A belt made out of a tire and a sprocket and a spoke. So just this year, we started doing that as a project to help support our organization rather than be as dependent on grant funding as we have been.
Oh, that's cool. And Ron, what's the name of the organization again?
Bike Recycle Vermont.
Bike Recycle Vermont?
Yep.
And is there a website?
Yes, www.localmotion/BRV, as in Bike Recycle Vermont.
Cool. Well, congratulations. I think, again, I love these stories that just start with one small, simple step. You do one thing, and all of a sudden you find that there's a need and an opportunity, and it keeps going, and now years later you've really made an impact.
It's pretty rewarding. It's the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh, that's cool. Well, congratulations. We've got a framed E-Chievement Award certificate for you.
Thank you.
That's the winner of this week's E-Chievement Award, Ron Manganiello, founder of Bike Recycle Vermont up there in Burlington, Vermont. Congratulations, Ron.